Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Enterprising Minds. You're stuck in with Dougherty and Alex. So today we're going to talk about the fallacy of automate everything and why that's a fallacy. And, we just keep running into brick walls whenever we try to, be tech forward and optimize things. And so Alex, you seem pretty animated in the pre-recording call about a certain situation, so I'll kick it over to you to talk about your example.
Well, I also have a pet theory that Chat GPT is getting dumb, but that might be a side point here. We'll get to that in a moment. So, small teaser.
You mean something based off of the internet seems to be an idiot?
I know. Something that's starting to release advertising and suddenly need money is potentially pulling back on their model and making it dumber because it will be cheaper. If I had a little magic 8-ball, it'd say like all signs point to yes. Yeah. Yeah, so they automate everything. So this keeps showing up on LinkedIn, especially if you follow any of the SEO news, but honestly, digital marketing and nearly everything else. It's like, oh, you can use AI for that. It's this slap this big giant Band-Aid. It used to be the big red button. You just slap the easy button and your website gets launched. Well, dear God, I seriously still want a button that somehow runs a script or something to actually launch a site, because it's so funny when you talk to management directors, you name it, and they're like, launch it. It's like, you realize there's no button that does this. It's just a ton of steps. Right. Eventually it just kind of goes. Like there is no like, oh man, look.
Yeah. Or my favorite for years was we'll just SEO it.
Like, sprinkle that fairy dust on it.
Your simple little just go do it is a 6-week project.
Like, you have any idea what you're asking for?
Yeah.
There we go. So one thing I was dealing with was the automation is trying to expand upon how much data can you really put inside any of these systems, and then where do you start hitting those limits? And you hit those limits super fast. And that's the one frustrating thing with the whole thing, is that all of these ideas of, we can automate the heck out of SEO. You can automate poor quality crap at scale.
Right.
But you really can't do good work at scale. And these tools help maybe expand you and kind of push you on an extra 10%, extra 20%, but they are not doing 200%. That's the thing that seems to be very, very lost in any of these times where you get these articles, especially LinkedIn ones, which are so boastful of this idea that you can somehow, do this massive increase of, productivity, explosion of content, websites, apps, who knows, whatever.
Right.
The quality disappears really, really fast. I mean, it's still one of these things of it's maybe it's just a scale problem. Maybe that's just it, where we keep running into that. But I've been having conversations recently around AI usage, and we keep getting this idea of what about entry-level workers, people entering into the market? They're using AI tools, and the AI tools may be misleading them or giving them poor results. How would they know any better? And that kind of is it. You can use these tools great, but you still have to be smarter than them. You still have to be able to judge them. Right. And every time they start making mistakes, you have to be there to correct it and keep going and back and forth, back and forth. Well, if you have back and forth, you're not scaling. And that it starts to fall down right there. The other part of it, I'll hit real quick, is basically Notebook LM can take a lot of content into it, and then you can use Gemini to search it. You can use Notebook LM. I mean, there's other ways to also do that. Artifacts with Claude. Other ways to basically upload data and then ask it questions about the data. Right. There's limits to that all over the place. And the limits don't hit, they're not oh man, I'll never hit this sort of thing. And only if I'm doing some crazy, wizardry, I'm going to never run into this problem. It's no, literally you're going to hit that with a small site. Depending on the number of pages and things you're trying to handle, no, you're going to hit it right away. And if you're trying to support a lot of different activities, which commonly is SEO or digital marketing, we are all over the place. We're never just, just doing one thing for one reason and never going to do anything else. Instead, it's we're doing this part for right now because it makes sense. And then as we move on to the next one, or the fire drills, or the priority shifts, the quarterly changes, the boss who suddenly says something and then suddenly, no, I guess my job changed again this week. That kind of stuff. Like that happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really think that the tools are quite at a place where they're supporting this, but also this idea, the fundamental idea of like, you can automate everything and then just walk away is the exact same fallacy that we ran against with like the 4-hour work week, the outsource everything in your life and have someone else do it, and somehow you'll still make profit. But that doesn't work. All these things take maintenance and work. The idea of like building out a ton of apps, great. You can build out apps, but what happens when iOS updates? Well, I guess
Right.
you have to go back and maintain all those apps now. And now you just built up a bunch of tech debt. And what happens when competitors enter the marketplace? I mean, all these things, they're dynamic. Like, it's hard to have a business last 100 years because stuff changes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same idea of like, you do that on any scale, you're going to struggle at a certain point when stuff changes and starts to break down. So I don't know. The concept of just that you can automate SEO or paid search to a pretty large degree too. PMAX is great, but there's still limitations there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Most of these systems, there's limitations all over the place. So this unlimited, ability, this fusion energy that we somehow found with ChatGPT is, I think, a
Right.
pretty false statement. The
Or it's like,
reality,
oh, we're headed towards the minority report. It's like,
yeah,
no, do you
no,
understand the
no.
systems that would have to be in place
I
for
know.
that? And like infinite levels of processing.
Yeah, yeah. There is.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, I've hit on this before in prior episodes. Like, there's a very physical aspect of all these internet related things.
right,
There are servers, there is bandwidth, there are fiber cables that do have limitations to them. There is a latency problem.
right,
I mean, there's processing power issues, and yes, those hard drives wear out, and you have to have somebody there at the server taking them out, replacing them, fixing them, literally slotting in a new one, and keeping the
right.
thing running again. And maybe that's a robot someday, but I mean, you're still paying power bills because it's still plugged in. I mean, there's all these like
Mm-hmm.
physical aspects of just like, how does this actually function? Well, there's very physical aspects of all this stuff behind your monitor and that your monitor is displaying that you run into, and then you start realizing, oh yeah, there's a limit here. There's a limit here too.
Well, and
So
that's why when AI first came out, I was like, man, first, once you get past the excitement of like your mind being blown that the computer's
yeah,
doing this particular thing, right?
yeah,
Then all of a sudden you find yourself going, okay, but wait. I remember being through the marketing automation. Have I ever seen anybody set up marketing automation properly?
no,
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 no. And I I've been going through old episodes, so I was reminded of this, with one of the first ones where we were talking. I said, honestly, it reminds me of when like TV dinners or frozen dinners came out. For some people, that makes sense, right?
mm-hmm.
You don't care about food for whatever reason.
You're just trying to eat. Yeah,
You're just trying to get something in, and you pop it in the microwave and it's fine. Is
exactly.
it is it advisable, for doctors or general
No,
life enjoyment? No.
enough sodium to kill a squirrel. Yep. Should you be eating this? Probably not.
No. No.
But it's fine. You can still do it. It's just, yeah, that's the top is it's fine.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I keep thinking like the metaphor and maybe like Super Bowl bouncy ball. I don't know. I got to find like a better metaphor than that. But there's this idea of like the expectations and the hype, and this bouncy
Yeah.
ball like goes off into the air, and then eventually it like smacks the ground. And each time you're like, well, yeah, I mean, that was really cool, but literally I asked ChatGPT the other day what time it was, and it failed. Like, even when
Hmm.
it tried to search the internet, it still couldn't tell me the time. Like, it's actually still worth something trying. I was amazed because it's been going on for weeks, and it still can't tell the time. Like even going out to a live website, which has the time on it, it can't give me the information, which is weird. You'd think it'd be able to. Like there's like, and then
Mhm.
that would be a smack on the ground. And then it goes off in the air again of like, well, it also is able to write this really long research report, which is great. And then
What
you
is
start looking at,
time, and do we actually need it?
oh, there we go. Yeah, right. Yeah, research report on that. No, more like market analysis kind of stuff. And it's like, okay, those numbers look good. And then you start looking at them, and you're like, some of those were good, some of those were
Mhm.
not good. And then the ball smacks the ground again, right? You know, it's like this, and it keeps bouncing, bouncing, bouncing until it kind of like piddles out and just kind of stops and rolls along the ground because you're starting to realize the reality of the situation versus all the hype. And the hype keeps
Mhm.
bumping it up again and trying to get another bounce. And we keep going through these bounces, but I think we're starting to get to the point where the ball is going to roll against the ground because you kind of realize, like, cool, word processing software, it's so great. Well, yeah, until limits.
Right. And you and I had talked about how it was like a blank page killer, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's one
how,
analogy. Yeah,
yeah. So this is a horribly mundane example, but
do tell, Dave. Do tell. I'm sure
yeah,
our listeners they
yeah.
rapt attention.
My wife bought new carpet,
Okay,
and because of that, I have to clean my office and move everything out of it, right?
sure.
But I'm a creative individual, so I have piles.
Fair enough.
So I'm going through the said piles, right? Of all the different post-it notes, of all the different ideas and random thoughts and whatever. Or sometimes if I'm in a big project, I'll write a bunch of notes of like, oh, I discovered this. If you do that, watch out for this. Thinking, okay, I'll turn around and I'll write that blog post sometime, and then I
Sure.
forget to, right? So I have these stacks of ideas. And so today I went through and um there was one that was like it was like mini legal pad pages. So like this size,
Yeah, small
right?
ones. Sure, like a
Yeah.
quarter page. Yeah,
So I had like three of those, and it was just a random notes. And I read through it. I'm like, oh, I vaguely remember that project, but like, yeah, let's do it. So I put it into Gemini and I say, hey, I have a bunch of these random notes from a project I was doing. Help me turn it into a blog post, or like organize it for me, right? Don't
sure. Good
don't
use.
like write the whole thing for me, but organize it and
Yeah, summarize it
give
out.
me some feedback, right? And it's just like, man, was that frustrating, because what it came back with was just sort of like random stuff. And then like some of the SEO things that it was saying was not true. So then, of course I'm like calling it out on it. And then eventually it was just I'm gonna rewrite this.
It's become frustrating enough that I now care enough just to redo it.
Yeah. So, it's like, okay, cool. I went from 3 pages to, like, okay, now I have the outline at least. Like I have the section, the headers, but I went and just rewrote all of it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so on the one hand, cool. I have 3 fewer pages in my office.
sure.
But to your point of the, bouncing it down, I have spent an inordinate amount of time building out custom GPTs, automating absolutely where I can. So like, here's the tone of voice, here's my preferred style,
Sure,
only cite these sources, don't ever use a forum or a chat, thing as a source.
sure.
um any of that kind of stuff, um so that I don't have to prompt it all the time. But even with that, it still came back with this garbage, and it's just like, man, okay. But part of it too is I'm picky because I'm have a creative writing degree and I
Yeah,
like writing, and so I have
interesting.
a particular idea of how I want to come across when I write. So would somebody else have that level of nitpickiness? Probably not. The first draft would have been okay, but like
Yeah.
if you go to claim that you have any kind of search experience, the real SEOs would be able to call you out over a couple of turns of phrases, where it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
especially it was about international SEO, which is even fewer SEOs, you
True.
know.
Yeah.
Um, just like,
Passionate
no, I
group.
want to get this one right. I want to
Yeah.
get this one right.
Yeah. It's a passionate group, and for those who have done a fair amount of it, I mean, you pick up that experience pretty quick because there's a lot of do's and don'ts that suddenly pop in with
Mm-hmm.
that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had one recently. It was really dumb. It was just meeting was coming up, and I had in my mind kind of a basic idea for auditing some analytics and kind of like some standard stuff for a couple different platforms, right?
Right.
And I had thrown into ChatGPT. I was like, give me like a generic audit that I can react to of these three platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So I can basically just copy and paste the bullet notes of which ones I like, and then kind of expand from there, right?
Right.
Seemed like
Right.
I could set it off to do that while I do something else. I go back and check on it, and all the bullet points start with lowercase, and they're all. And I was like, weird. I can't copy and paste it. I was like, okay, just can you, capital letters at the beginning of each bullet point, please.
Right.
So it capitalized everything. I was like, no. So here's an example. Bullet points like this. First a
Right.
bullet point, then a capital letter, then lowercase, sentence case. Please use sentence
Mm-hmm.
case, capitalization. So it gave me the entire paragraphs above as well as the bullet points below. Every single word started with a capital letter. So I kept correcting it.
Well,
I was like, stop, give me AP styling. Try that.
right.
And
Right.
it just repeated it again. And I was like, you know what, forget it. And I was like, man, at this point, I wasted more time than it would have taken me to write out the silly bullet points. Because I even gave it now examples of proper bullet points and AP styling. I even checked whether or not, that's proper styling, which of course, yes, it is. Start with capital letter. I mean, just like dumb things like that. I was like, great. Now I wasted like 10 minutes on a 5-minute task.
Right.
And I got nothing. Oh.
Yeah. I was walking around during the workday. I will take a break and I will just go for a walk.
Sure.
Right. Because who knows what happened, or
yeah,
clear my head, or
smart,
whatever. And I was thinking about this, where it's like, okay, we're outsourcing so much stuff to AI, or at least those of us who are using it, frequently. I feel like we don't give ourselves enough credit for the amount of crap that is in our head that we just don't have to think about. For example, your AP formatting, right?
Yeah.
For the last 15 years, been writing in AP formatting. I don't have to think about it. I just do it. When I do an anchor text, I know exactly how I want that formatted. I know exactly how, what phrases I'm going to highlight for that. It's just done.
Right.
So then to have to sit down and go, okay, what do I know to be true? What do I prefer? Makes it really long, right? Because then you're like, oh crap, all this is in my head and I don't usually think about it. Like,
you're teaching.
Now, granted, I'm not smart enough to talk about the nature of intelligence, but it is at least, interesting to think of just all the stuff that's there that you don't even think about while you're doing your job, because you have the experience, or it's just sort of innate in your habits. Because I know a lot of the coworkers that I talk to, the thing I'm getting frustrated about is, I'm like, hey, have you tried AI for this particular thing? Like, I feel like you could do that faster that way. And then just go, no. And everything that they come back with, what they've tried for, is so tactical that it misses 90% of the value that I think, AI could give you, because it's like, well, I just want to create a PowerPoint. Well, you should probably do that then, because it's going to be formatted correctly. You're going to be presenting, so it should represent you, like, But coming up with the outline for the presentation, yeah, sure, that's totally an AI thing,
Sure.
you know.
Give them some feedback on some ideas, summarizing things down, making your
Right,
sentences more, memorable.
right,
You name
yeah.
it. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say that the biggest benefit I've gotten out of AI has been with my creative writing stuff, with the strategy stuff, like all the things that I would have gone to friends to say, "Hey, give me your thoughts on this," and then all of them would be like, "Ugh, do I have to?" It's like it's Friday, man. I want to.
See, that's how you deal with the loneliness epidemic. Like, you talk to the bots instead. Because it's funny because it was probably over a year ago. I talked about this that I probably helped my marriage by basically using AI to teach me about interior design and ask it a million questions about things because I knew nothing. And I'm trying
Right,
to renovate a basement, and it's big enough space with enough constraints and all the rest that I was like, I don't know anything. Like, so I
right,
have a million questions of like this or that, or what other options are there and everything else in between. And it goes on for weeks that I'm like going back and forth on different
right.
concepts, ideas, and stuff like that. Or my wife, who didn't really have any interest in the project, could be bored to tears hearing me talk about different ideas that I have for how we can make the space better, etc. And it's like, oh my gosh. It is useful as a sounding board. It is useful for some of those basic things, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's got limits across all of it.
Mm-hmm.
There's also there's that psychopathic aspect of it where it always is trying to agree with you and say that your idea is the greatest idea ever and all that kind of crap,
Right.
which is potentially an output of human trainers upvoting those responses
Mm-hmm.
more than others because they like that.
Right.
So weird reflection on humanity, I guess. Um, but it also creates inherent problems with it too, because you'd have friends who would be potentially more critical or have a larger view who would
Right.
say like, yeah, it's a great idea, but keep in mind your boss is like this. And it's like,
Right.
yeah, that's true. This project would never get on the list. Like, I can spend hours on this thing and he's just going to say no to it, which would be helpful instead of spending hours on it, which AI could help you spend hours on it. So
Mm-hmm.
you bring up those other pieces first.
Mm-hmm.
Context. And it never has enough context. So
Well, what was the I think Jeff Bezos had the idea of this. Is this a one door or two door problem? And this was
really,
on the Marketing AI Institute podcast,
okay.
and it stuck with me this week. Where it's like, how do you use AI, for
Yeah.
things? And it's like, well, it seems like AI is perfect for those two door problems, and the two door problems, if I'm remembering correctly, are like, if we leave through that door, we can come back in and choose another one, right?
Okay.
Well, the one door problem is you leave through the door, you make that decision, and there's no going back,
Mm.
right? So if it's a one door thing and you have to be right, don't use AI, right?
Yeah.
But if you can put it out, like, you could do a blog post and then, oh, you know what,
Sure.
there's some errors, let's fix that, put
Yep.
that back out there. That's more of that two door problem. Um, but yeah, does that resonate with you at all?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. It was maybe now 2 years back, but it was a lawyer who had put together some case documentation with AI, and
Yeah.
it made up cases that didn't exist, and it went before the judge, and then the judge realized that these are false, um, false judgments and false comparisons. So that was the thing that definitely you can't take back and just submit another version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, in that kind of case, you really shouldn't be using it for that. There is, yeah, I think that's a good point because it kind of goes back to the idea of kind of like the blank page killer, or even some of the automation stuff I've been doing recently. So Screaming Frog it's a crawler tool set on a website. It crawls through all the links, grabs data as it does that, like page titles, can even grab the whole body copy, whatever.
Right.
You can also include different API connections to it. So Google Search Console data, Google Analytics data, or AI systems. And it'll basically run whatever prompts you have put into it per page that it crawls through. So you could have a selection page that just let it go wild on the website. It's expensive and it's really slow, unlike those other services, which are free and a lot faster. So it could take days instead of hours, and it might cost you $60-$80 for 5,000 pages, depending on how many prompts you're doing and the complexity of them. Which is a weird discretionary income or discretionary budget that you now need for crawling tools. But the data that it runs is great data, or depending on how well you crafted those prompts, about each one of these pages, especially if you're trying to do something at scale, like, find a page that doesn't mention this particular product line, or doesn't have a link to this page, or doesn't have some other kind of quality to it. You could put in that as a prompt, and now you could run 5,000 pages. You absolutely could. And it would be okay data, but I would never consider it 100% confident.
Right.
I would still not be confident. And I would, even if it was something simple like that, of like, does this phrase exist on this page? Which it should be able to kind of match things. There's other ways to do it too. That'd be more cheap and verifiable. But I would still give it a 70%, 80% confidence level that I got all of them on that was 5,000 pages with that data. Right. I wouldn't consider it perfect. And if I asked something else, like give me SEO recommendations per page, I would take a look at those recommendations, but I would probably deny most of them. And I would take only a small portion of them forward. But I wouldn't ever push it through the door, in your analogy, with whatever it just came back. I wouldn't do that. I would have to review it first.
Right. Here's another question for you. Do you find it more annoying to create something new or to double check somebody else's work?
Depends on what it is, I guess.
Because that's my experience with AI. You're either creating something new, or you're spending all of your time double checking what it's done.
That's a really good point. Yeah, that is. Yeah, that is it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, either it is doing something absolutely brand new, or you're just going back and forth like crazy trying to get the stupid thing to do what you're actually hoping to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh.
So what's more annoying?
I'm trying to flip this to a positive too. Like, what would I rather look forward to working on it? It's like, yeah, I can see why I also have a hesitation sometimes of opening up an AI tool versus not, just because of that back and forth aspect that it seems almost inevitable with almost every question. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's a very helpful starting point.
Right.
But then I still always have trust issues if it's brand new.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, I was asking Claude the other day of pizza dough recipe. I need a pizza dough recipe for 2 8-inch pizzas and 1 12-inch. And I've got an hour and a half, so it can't be a long proof or ferment kind of process. Can't be overnight or anything. Like, what's a pizza dough recipe that fits all of those qualifications? Very hard thing to Google search. Mm-hmm. Because I have this, output quantity that needs to be nailed. Right. Plus I have constraints on top of it. And honestly, Google's not really good with negativing out or kind of Boolean search was, you put minuses of things and it would cut the stuff out of your results and kind of like optimize the results a little bit better. Something kind of advanced searching. It's not great at that, and recipes are really poor at that, in fact. It mismatches all the time with recipes. So it gave me a recipe back, and it was good, but I had questions, right? And that was the problem, was that, this like trust but verify thing just like hits over and over again with whenever you get an output. So it was something, I had nothing. It gave me something. So this was a brand new case.
Right.
But my trust level wasn't that high. And it worked out okay. It's a pretty forgiving recipe to begin with, to be honest.
Right.
But it wasn't great either.
Right. Because good things, like good food, take time.
Yeah, yeah. Plus, I mean, I don't know, just some of the things that I did were like a little odd
Mm-hmm.
during the process. I've done a lot of pizza dogs recently, so it's not like I haven't like done once in the past. I just have never really saved a recipe that I really enjoyed, and I don't know, it was okay, but that's
Right.
also the problem.
Right.
What about you?
I find it really obnoxious having to double check work.
Yeah,
I would much rather create things, hence
yeah.
my enjoyment of music and writing and cooking.
Instead of editing. Yeah,
Well, because editing is where the real work happens,
yeah,
right?
right.
So, like, that's where I like walking through things. Like, help me think through this. What are some options for X, Y, and Z, right? Like, I
Yeah,
have this general idea. Should I pursue it? Should I not? Um, or go do a basic search, like deep research thing, and help me be directionally correct.
sure.
I don't need to be 1,000% correct for this thought process, but you know, let's be, on the way there, you
Yeah,
know. Um, so that's where I've used it a lot. Like, the the funny thing is the biggest use for the Chrome browser Gemini that I've found
yeah.
is as I've been like I don't really ever use that.
Same. I saw it. I was like, oh, that's so cool, and then I have yet to
Not
use
use
it.
it. Yeah. So I started doing some content migration between websites.
Yeah, right.
And, like a lot of things, you're focused on creating the content and getting it out on time. So,
Sure,
certain things fall through the cracks. Well, I find myself needing a bunch of meta descriptions.
sure.
So I share the tab with it. It can read the article that's on the thing, and I just type in meta description, and it pumps out 3 versions, and I copy paste it. Done. It's been great.
Yeah,
Could I have now, to your point in your earlier example, can I do that via Screaming Frog all at once across the entire site? Yeah.
it's the
Is it
setup thing.
worth me stopping what I'm doing
No,
to then, go do that at scale? No, I can just do
no.
it as I'm doing it as part of the job and just
Yeah,
get it done, right?
yeah,
Um yeah, so it's those small little things where it's like, okay, no, it's just I wasn't anticipating this. I don't have it. It's a throwaway thing anyway. We know Google's going to redo it anyway. But then at the
no.
very least,
It's like, man, that is a perfect example of usage. Like,
yeah, where it doesn't really have any kind of big impact, but um at least your reporting won't yell at you for having, 12,000 errors, right?
I just don't
And
want to be yelled at. I don't need a prize. I just don't want to be yelled at.
like,
Yeah,
yeah. Now,
no,
will I win any awards for leveraging, Gemini in that way? No.
no,
No.
but
Do I care about that? No.
yeah,
But it's been a really useful thing,
sure.
right?
Yep.
Because then, it's like, God, I just got done writing 1,200 words. Now I have to come up with a perfect 2-sentence summary. Ugh.
That less than 30% of people who ever see that search result will ever even see,
Right.
because Google rewrites them anyways. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
no,
So it's
I
kind of that
like
to
it.
me is like that's the perfect thing because it's kind of a throwaway thing, but then it's it still has to be done and it's
Yeah,
nice to have in case something else comes up. Um, but yeah, yeah, I think I've been leveraging. Um, well, let's switch topics a little bit. Go back to what you were talking about with ChatGPTs getting dumber.
Yeah.
So I have been finding. So I've been working on some creative writing that I've been doing, and it's been a main goal of mine for 2025. And I got like 85% of the way there, so I'm carrying it into 26 to finish stuff. And every time that I would work on this project, I would open up ChatGPT, Gemini, both of which I pay for.
Sure.
And then I'd open up Claude because I've heard from a lot of people that Claude is better with writing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't pay for Claude, so I'm using the free version just to like test it out, right?
Sure.
And so I would copy paste the prompt to each one of them, and then I would see what it would come up with. And then whichever one had the best response, I would continue the conversation with. And since I've been doing this at the beginning of 2025, it was totally ChatGPT.
Okay.
Then we got to the middle of 25 and it completely switched to Gemini. Gemini was way better. As soon as 2.5 came out,
I was about to say, I was like, that was the big release. Yep. I'm with you.
That it got so much better.
Sure.
Now I find myself using the free version of Claude.
Interesting.
Because it has better feedback. It understands the context and the intents behind the writing better than Google, better than ChatGPT. Because like the thing that I'm finding really frustrating about ChatGPT, particularly with writing, is if you have two drafts of something, or like I really like this and I like that, so like combine them, right? It will just verbatim stitch them together. And it's like, no, that's a crap experience,
right?
Like you need to like synthesize it and rework it, and
right.
Do that.
Explain more steps with that.
Yeah. Whereas, so if I do that, GPT will stitch them together. Gemini will understand that, and then we'll put something together. Claude will totally rewrite it and then be like, here's why I did that. It's like, I like that so much better.
Yeah, I gotta test something. Maybe this upcoming week I'll test it. I've been using ChatGPT and paying for it for a little while, and it has a fair amount of information stored on history of projects and stuff like that, which lately it's been absolutely awful with its ability to review prior chats. Like it just has like no information, no knowledge. Been really getting frustrated with that because there's a lot of topics that like get revisited and it's like, okay, continuing from that conversation, like now we're at this point, let's keep going on. And it's like, it has no knowledge. It's like, I'm literally searching the words that the chat has been called in the bar, but maybe there's some way that I can import into Claude all the stuff that ChatGPT knows about me. Maybe I can transfer the history, because that has been one thing that has been keeping me with ChatGPT usage, is the fact that it has such long history. But when their thinking model came out, one of their it's 5.1, not 5.2. 5.2 is the upgrade, but 5.1, it was like a load balancing change. So instead of having, you had like a slower model, you had a turbo one, you had the, I mean, there was all these like different models, and it was hard for people to understand which one should I be using and asking, right? And so they came up with this new one, which basically like tries to understand your query and then shifts it towards one of these other kind of sub models to try to answer it either quickly or correctly or more in depth, right? But you had less options now, less ability to choose. I want the advanced one when you want the advanced one. Sometimes they'll give you the wrong one. And there was a bunch of anger online, and then they fixed some things.
Yeah, I shut off that auto select immediately. I said, no, I don't want you making decisions for me.
Yeah, I think they're back to it, pushing it again. And they've been pushing it down and down to maybe cheapen their server costs or fix their numbers or something like that. But I don't know. It also concerns me because I use their API, which is actually kind of expensive nowadays. Like I'm starting to wonder if they increase their costs with that too. They finally increased my speed, which this was a funny thing. Got an email from OpenAI, and they're like, "Oh, hey, you've been using our API a lot, so you're now like level 2, and we've increased the rate that you're at, and we're not slowing you down as much as we used to anymore."
Mm.
I didn't know that was a thing. So I'm now in tier 2 or whatever it is. It was like the box of mac and cheese that now says now made with real cheese.
Right.
It's, the only thing that starts is, what was it made with before?
Right.
Right? We're not slowing you down as much as we were. You're slowing me down?
Right.
Congrats, we're not doing it as much. Why?
Yeah.
This is one of these
You have
emails.
proven yourself worthy.
Right. I was like looking at it, I was like, hey, cool? Maybe? I guess. I'm
Yeah.
frustrated at the amount of time I guess I lost. Okay.
Right.
We hope
Well,
this email finds you happy. No, it found me sad. It found me sad.
right. Yeah, you made me sad. Thank you,
Right.
robot. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. I mean, we talk about enterprise marketing a lot, and in the context of enterprise marketing in these large companies, I don't know that the AI productivity thing will ever hit as big as the leaders will hope for all of the reasons that we've talked about today, where
Yeah.
you need a bunch of leaders totally aligned on a single direction.
Yeah.
So that's going against it. Thing two is you need to be empowered to try things, break things, and make decisions to move forward.
Yep.
You don't get that in big organizations. Like,
Yeah.
when you were talking about one of your scenarios, I was thinking to myself, like, that reminds me of when we were working in a co-working space together, and we could just like lean over and look at each other and be like, hey, you know what's dumb?
Yeah.
Let's fix that.
You're right. Some of the best
Okay.
projects got fixed that way.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
I have yet to have a project since then like that.
yeah.
Because it's like, oh, here's as much as we can do before we hit, IT's red tape, or you have to go get this person's approval. And it's like, but I don't want to talk to that person.
I know. That is the funny, like, the la la land, the magic land of fantasy that, AI, a lot of AI posts and comments live in, is this fantasy world where there are no limits to anything and everything is just possible. And it's like, that just simply isn't reality. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we can run projects with as much AI as we possibly can, but we're still going to run into all the other problems.
Right.
We have an RFP. Great. I've got an RFP, GPT. Great. The RFP is now completely changed. Well, I guess that GPT is worthless.
Right.
Right. I mean, it's
Right.
like, so there's like this, repeatability and limitations that we always have because of things being so custom and constantly changing.
Well, that's a good point, actually, is like your GPTs or your custom gems or
Yeah.
whatever, those now need to be included in your rebranding.
Oh, I mean, yeah, and they got to be updated. Like some of my GPTs, I'm
Yeah.
realizing they're also running old models. So I have
Right.
to just go back to them just to edit them so that they start using the current models. Like,
Right.
just like, that's a very small thing, but also I tested some of them and realized new things aren't working and also new things have changed. So yeah, brand standards,
Right.
guides that they were built on have been updated. So now
And your
I have
prompt probably has to change because it's a newer
those.
model.
Right.
Yeah.
The tech debt, basically. Each one of these now creates maintenance, administration.
Yep.
People, coworkers ping me occasionally saying, hey, I got this weird response. Can you help me out? Or I'm trying to do this project. Can you help me how to do it?
Mm.
So it's saving time-ish. Yeah, kind of. Maybe it's just
Right.
putting time somewhere else. To be honest, it's pretty hard to tell for productivity too. So yeah, I do question some of that. I think it's still useful. I mean, across the board, but
Oh yeah.
there are
And
limits.
I forget the episode where we talked about the actual adoption amounts, but I remember being shocked at. I don't consider myself like a crazy advanced user, But according to the stats,
I was about to say, what was
we
your
are very advanced users.
What was your ChatGPT end of year number? Top what percent of users?
I don't remember that one, but I do remember that I was in the first 1% of all GPT users.
Yeah, I think I was at 3%.
Super early adopter. Yeah. So that I was happy about that.
Yeah, so when 99% of users, which apparently they have millions, are below you, or for me, 97%. Yeah, we might be kind of on the edge. And that is actually, that's the other funny thing too, is once you have these discussions with other individuals who are heavily within kind of the AI, kind of like trying to like move forward,
yeah,
break stuff and move and learn kind of environment and mentality. They all always have the same point where they always think like, oh man, I feel like I'm falling behind because, somebody else out there who has, a LinkedIn post that got, reposted a dozen times says they're doing something that's way cooler than what I'm doing or way more advanced than what I'm doing. And it's like, first, I question the believability of anything that anyone posts online, and you should. Second, you're in a little tiny bubble, right?
Yeah.
Like the vast majority of the world gives no care to this and may hold the same role as you at a different company.
Right. I had an interesting discussion with a coworker of mine whose dad was a doctor. And when they started forcing the software, like note-taking and whatever else the software does, he refused to do it. I was just like, no, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to do it. So then he worked as long as the company would allow him to not do electronic records. And it was just like, that was his choice. Could he have worked longer? Probably.
Did you want to? No.
Yeah. And I think of that story though a lot when I'm talking to some coworkers about like, hey, you could try AI, we could do this, we could try that, like just do an experiment. And they're like, yeah, I don't know. I know I have to email this person. I'm going to go email that person. It's like, all that sounds like really busy work. Like, you sure you want to be doing like only busy work? But then I look at the half of my day and I'm just like, damn. Yeah.
That's that model we mentioned before. What was that? The trash can model? I prefer the phrase spaghetti model, but it's like the mess that is actually inside of every company of how things actually get done. And then how little of it is actually like effort towards building the product or selling the product. Like so much of it is just all the internal stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I want an AI for that, not for the other stuff.
Yeah. Who can do the internal office politics AI? And
right. Yeah, one that does that. Thanks.
Yeah.
Good job.
God. Okay. Well, that took a turn at the end, but I did enjoy the conversation as always. Everybody, Pathways newsletters coming out every week. Got a good schedule going for that. So go check that out.
Those have
share this.
Good. Yeah, I really suggest those. Check those out.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah. They've been, once I figured out what my week needs to look like to push those out on time, then they started getting better.
That's right.
Yeah, go check those out. Like, subscribe, share these with a friend so that we can get more people involved. I do have to thank everybody who comes up to me in real life and compliments the podcast. It means a lot. And I've had some awesome conversations with people who've done that. So thank you. And we will see you in 2 weeks, the next episode. So take care.
Cheers.